Petty Motorsports in advance of the Great American Race. We're going to go ahead and go straight to questions. So if you have a question for Erik, go ahead and raise your hand, and we will get to you. We'll look at the queue. We will start. Our first question will be with Marty Sakali. Go ahead with the question, Marty.
Thank you very much. Hey, Erik. Obviously, the first year with the 43. Interesting stat. The 43 has not made a trip to victory lane in a completed race since 1999. You've obviously won the Cup Series before. Do you think this is the big opportunity to get the King back in victory lane?
I hope so. That's the ultimate goal at the end of it all, is to hopefully win a race this year and in turn, get us in the playoffs. So, RPM has been doing a lot over the last few years, I think, to really strengthen their organization, and I think it's shown in performance too. So the trend's going in the right direction. Obviously, we want to keep it going that way this year and keep going to a better points finish and continue to get more and more competitive on the track. So overall, I think there's a great opportunity to. I look at some of the tracks that we go to this year, and I think there's opportunities to win. So it's tough to win in the Cup Series. We all know that. I know that from experience, obviously, but I think we've got a lot of opportunities this year where we can do it.
And in the Daytona 500 these past few years, it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when the big one happens. I've talked with a bunch of drivers. They say they want to be up in the first 2-3 rows. As a driver, from your perspective, do you want to be in the front, or would you like to be in the back? That could help you get a shot at the win.
It's kind of a tough balance. Over the last few super speedway races, I think we've done a good job of putting ourselves in position to be in contention to win. I feel like we've had a couple of shots to win super speedway races here in the last few at Daytona and Talladega. So the 500's been kind of tough to me, it seems, since a few years ago we ran third there. Since then, it's been a struggle a little bit to try to get to the finish and try to be in contention there. So here's some stuff I feel like, though, that I've done that has put me in a good spot towards the end of the race. Some of that's laying back, some of that's being up front. But there is a point where you have to be in a certain position to have a shot to win. You can't be 5 laps to go and be running 25th. I don't see you being able to drive through the field if there's that many cars left and have a shot to win. So you have to kind of pay attention to that, put yourself in somewhat of a position towards the end. And at a point, you really have to start taking the risks, right? You may get caught in the big one, you may not, but you have to take those risks to be in position to try to win.
Thanks for your time, man. Have a great Speed Weeks.
Thank you.
Our next question will come from Dustin Albino. Go ahead with the question, Dustin.
Erik, coming from JGR, how much do you feel like you have to manage your expectations this year?
Yeah, it's a different team and a different group. I think our expectations change for sure. I think for us, finishing top 20 in points is the goal. That's what they've been working towards the last few years and trying to get there, and they came close last year to doing that. Obviously, the ultimate goal, kind of the top tier, is to get a win and get in the playoffs. That would be a great season for us. So, the expectations change, but I think we all have high hopes. A lot of the guys that I've talked to at RPM now, getting to know them, they're really excited for the season, including myself. So it's different for sure. A different organization, a lot smaller, and obviously a single car. But it's been fun for me. I've really enjoyed being over there and getting to talk to those guys and already start to grow with them and try to help them out in any way I can. So I spent a ton of time up there already at the shop on the simulator, just trying to work through stuff to get us acclimated before the season starts and really do all we can to have a good year.
Thanks, Erik.
Our next question will come from Jenna Fryer. Go ahead with the question, Jenna.
Hey, Erik. I'm wondering, what are the big, now that you've had a chance to get inside RPM and you've come from a big multi-car organization, I'm wondering, what are the biggest adjustments now that you've had some time in there?
Yeah, it's just the preparation's totally different for me, making sure that we're all on the same page, right? The communication's a lot more direct. There's not as many people in between the certain parts of the company as what I was used to before. And for me, it's just really, like I said, more direct in the sense of getting the car prepared and what you need as a driver myself to be comfortable is honestly a lot simpler with it being a single car team. So there's a lot of different preparation stuff, and just the biggest thing for me has been just working through getting comfortable with a new team more than anything. I've never really switched teams in my career. If you think about it, even back to Xfinity going to Cup, it wasn't a big move. It was the same team, just a different level of the series. So that's been the biggest thing, getting to get over there and try to get comfortable and express what I'm looking for and out of a race team, what I need to go out and be successful. That's been the biggest thing for me is things that I'm used to, things that I want before the race weekends to try to go out and be prepared. That's been the biggest thing for me. So it's been really busy the last couple of months, but it's all been really good stuff.
Can you take more of a leadership role now that all the focus is solely on you?
Yeah, I definitely feel that. It's rewarding a lot for me to be able to go in and feel like there's, quite a bit that I can bring to the table myself. I've learned, a lot over the last 3 or 4 years in the Cup Series and trying to better myself and feel like I know what, I need to be comfortable in the race car and what I need to go out and be successful. So there is a lot more leadership there and a lot more in the sense of what direction we're going from myself, just because it is a single car team and, we're working through those things really directly. So I've enjoyed that. I've always kind of wanted that opportunity to go in and try to lead the ship a little bit more and be more involved with the direction, the way that the team's going. So that's been fun for me, and kind of seeing how we're working through the year and what we're going to do through the year to try to continue to improve our stuff.
Thank you, Erik.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question will come from Jeff Megalicchetti. Go ahead with the question, Jeff.
Hi, Erik. Thanks for joining us today. Good afternoon. Obviously things didn't end the way you wanted it to over at Gibbs, but it's safe to say you did have some strong days over there. What's the biggest lesson you'll take away from your days at Joe Gibbs Racing as you apply it to your new ride at RPM?
Well, I think you learn every step of the way. And for me, I had a great opportunity at JGR and learned a lot of things. We had success. We won some races and made the playoffs a few times. But, overall, you just have to take in the opportunity that it was and what, that team did to be successful and try to move on from that and learn from that. And for me, some of it's just trying to be introspective, moving on and trying to do, learn what I can do better from my own standpoint going forward and how I can try to continue to improve as a driver at a new organization and what I can take from what I learned to try to help my current team. So it's kind of all those things for me. A lot of it's just been trying to figure out on my end what I can bring to the table over at RPM to try to continue to make them better. And, a lot of that is just me being really, in the trenches with those guys. I feel like I've spent quite a bit of time at the shop, and we've already been on the simulator quite a bit, just trying to get through stuff and, learn what I want in a race car. Obviously, there's nothing like just getting to the racetrack, which I'm more than ready to do now. I feel like we go through all this stuff, and it is helpful, but there's nothing better than just getting on the track and working with the guys hand in hand and learning what we need from each other. So it's been good, but I would say, the learning process for me was just trying to be introspective and figure out what you can do better on your own end. Obviously, I worked with some great drivers over there and saw what they did to be successful. So just trying to learn from them too.
You'll be running the Clash, so how big of an advantage is that to you?
Well, it's more important than ever for me. Obviously, with a new team, no practice, it's really challenging, and the Clash will be challenging, right? I've never driven a car for RPM, and the first laps are going to be in a race setting. So it's just really being meticulous on my end and trying to get as comfortable as I can in the car before we go there and just trying to feel it out. Some of that race is going to be a learning process for me because it's going to be totally different. Everything is new. The brake package, the motor package, the car, the manufacturer, everything's totally different. So having that clash to go through, I think is really big. And even more so that it's on the road course. Excuse me. And then we're going back there, 12 days after for the points race. So it's going to be a big race for us, a really important one that I think we're going to learn a lot, going forward to what we need to do as a group.
I hope the car looks better this time around, especially as a defending champion. But thank you, and good luck next week.
Thanks.
Our next question is going to come from Kyle Foster. Go ahead with your question, Kyle.
Hey, Erik, how's it going?
Good.
So, what I wanted to ask you was, there's a lot of variety in this year's schedule. Road courses to obviously new tracks like Nashville, the Bristol Dirt Race. Do you think that your move to RPM with all these different variables of tracks gives you more opportunities to perhaps sneak in a victory?
I think so. I look at the road courses and, I feel like the road courses have been good for me the last few years. We've ran really strong on a lot of these places that we've already been. Obviously, the new road courses are kind of a wild card. You don't know exactly how things are going to go there, and a lot of us have never ran laps on these tracks. But it does bring more opportunities in, especially the Bristol Dirt Race is a total wild card. You don't really know who's going to run good there. I mean, it's going to be a really unique race. And even looking at the Eldora Truck Race, you saw some unique winners, guys you wouldn't think would be strong on the dirt went up there and won that race. So I think it's going to be a similar thing for the Bristol Dirt Race for the Cup Series. So I think it's good. I like the variety in tracks and moving stuff around. The schedule has been, pretty much the same since my rookie year coming in the series. Now we've seen a lot of change this year, which has been really neat for me and I think for the fans as well. So it does for sure, though, to answer your question, I think provide more opportunities.
Thank you very much.
Our next question is going to come from Anton Hreskiv. Go ahead with your question, Anton.
Good afternoon, Erik. You are the newest driver of the legendary 43 car, representing the King Richard Petty. How does it feel to become a part of probably one of the biggest NASCAR legacies?
It's really neat for me. I've, looking back, been a really big fan of the history of the sport. And obviously there's not a much bigger name than Richard Petty when you look at the history of NASCAR. So to have an opportunity to get in the 43 car is not lost on me. I know the importance of it and know the legion of fans that follow that car and that history. So I think that's really special. And then the chance just to get to talk with the King himself and hear his stories and see his passion for racing still and how his race team does is really cool for me. So it's been a fun experience so far. Like I said, I'm just excited to get the season going and really see what we can do and really just get to work and get down in the trenches and see what it's all about. But definitely my family's been NASCAR fans for a long time. My grandmother is a huge Richard Petty fan. So a lot of cool things that, I think will translate into driving that car this year.
Thanks. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Daniel McFadden. Go ahead with your question, Daniel.
Hey, Erik, in your few months with Richard Petty Motorsports, how would you describe the atmosphere and the vibe with this organization compared to what you've experienced in the last few years with Joe Gibbs Racing?
That's a lot different. You walk in the shop and it's a small organization with just the one car and a small group of guys, but really good guys so far. I've enjoyed getting to meet with them and getting to know them a little bit here through the off season and just getting prepared for Daytona. So for me, though, I think there's been a lot of excitement. I've really just enjoyed the enthusiasm out of the shop from the guys, from myself. Obviously, I've been excited to get going and get kind of a new start, a fresh start. It's something totally different for me. Obviously, I've been with the same organization for a long time, and coming over there, it's a totally new deal for me. Single car team, new manufacturer, a lot of things for me that I'm excited about. So I've just enjoyed it. The atmosphere has been great. And, I think I was up there just yesterday doing some final fitment stuff in the cars and getting ready to go. And the excitement from those guys is really cool. And I've really enjoyed that. And I don't think it's lost on them how excited I am, to get the season going.
The RPM, they share with RCR, and so you'll be interacting with a lot of other Cup drivers kind of on a somewhat regular basis. What's that going to be like for you getting integrated into that organization, having Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, and Daniel Suarez to kind of like interact with?
I think it'll be good. Obviously, the more information you can share and learn from is beneficial to a team. And obviously, excuse me, RCR has been on an uptrend and an upswing for the last few years, and hopefully, getting integrated with them, we can kind of continue that and, just keep going in the right direction. I keep building and keep getting better. And I think those guys have a lot to offer in the sense of obviously a bigger team and a lot more information and data to try to go out and continue to make our stuff better and better.
Thank you.
Our next question will come from Kelvin LaPierre. Go ahead with your question, Kelvin.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Erik, for taking some time out this afternoon. So it's been mentioned that this NASCAR is deeming this the most exciting year in NASCAR based on having 6 road courses, a bunch of scheduling changes, bringing the dirt track to Bristol here. Just looking at it, do you really have a favorite, or favorite track that's been named or anything with the new changes coming to the schedule this year?
I'm really excited to go to Dakota. I think it's a world-class facility, number one, and just getting over there, it seems like a really cool road course. Obviously, I've watched a lot of Formula One races on there and kind of what they've done. And, I've thought for a lot of years it'd be cool if we could get over there and run. So talking to people that have been there and ran there, I think the facility is kind of unmatched. So I'm excited to go there. And then even Nashville, getting back into that market, I think is going to be pretty exciting for us too. So those two races for me, I would say stick out.
Thank you. And I just wanted to congratulate you on the Air Force sponsorship extension.
Thank you.
Our next question will come from Mark Crystal. Go ahead with the question, Mark.
Hi, Eric. You said your goal is to finish top 20 in points this year. You just talked about Nashville and Coda being tracks, new additions you're excited about. Where is a track that you've got circled on the calendar where you could potentially steal the win to make the playoffs?
Well, I would say Bristol coming up. Dirt kind of changes that a little bit for me. I think Darlington's a great opportunity. It's been a really strong track for me over the last few years and what we've been able to do there. So I think that's an opportunity for us to go win. The super speedways, obviously, RPM's had some really fast super speedway cars the last few years and have been in contention to win. So, those places right there, I think stand out for me as places that we can go and try to snag a win.
Well, thank you.
Our next question will come from Cole Cusimano. I have the question, Cole.
Thanks, Matt. Hey, Eric. Going from racing for Coach Gibbs, is there more pressure or pride competing for Richard Petty in that fame number 43, or does it feel more or less the same competing for two sports legends?
Well, I think for me, the pressure never, has come from the team. Really, in any of my career, I think most of it has been more from myself. I want to go out and compete and run well and win races. So a lot of the pressure has just been on myself and just trying to go out and do well. And, I would say it's a similar feeling, right? Really important figures in sports in general, racing for both of them. But the pressure definitely for me has been internal, just wanting to go out and do well and try to succeed. It's always been my goal is to be in the Cup Series and win races. And that's, never changed for me. So that pressure definitely stays the same just internally from organization to organization.
Thank you. Good luck this year.
Thank you.
Our next question will come from Casey Campbell. Go ahead with the question, Casey.
Thanks, Matt. Hope everyone on the call is doing well. Eric, how are you, bud?
Good.
I see a little interesting thing on your shirt there with the Columbia logo. Are they going to be part of the team this year?
We're still working through that right now. We've got some apparel stuff with them that we're doing this year. We're still working on the rest of this stuff. We do have some big news coming up for the 500 actually here pretty soon, announcing some more stuff from there. So there's a lot of things we're still working on over at RPM though, as far as the rest of the season, but definitely got some big news coming up for the 500 here coming up pretty quick.
Working with Jerry Baxter, when you were at KBM, what's the relationship been like now that you're back, now that you two are back together in the Cup Series?
Well, a lot of it has just been getting to get reacquainted. I mean, I knew Jerry when we were at KBM and we talked here and there, but we had never actually worked directly together over at KBM. I was with Rudy over there back at that time. So, Jerry and I have gotten to know each other a lot more over the last month and kind of, share our goals and what we want to do this year and kind of how, what we expect from each other. So it's been good though. I've really enjoyed getting to know him and start to work with him. But like I've said, it's great to do all that stuff in the off season, but there's nothing like just getting to the racetrack. And that for me has always built the chemistry and the relationship faster than anything else. So, but Jerry's been great. Obviously I think he's really improved the RPM team over the last year. And, I think that's going to be the same this year. I really feel confident about the group that we have on that car this year to go out and keep running well.
All right. Thanks, Eric. Good luck to you, buddy.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Ashley McCubbin. Go ahead with the question, Ashley.
Eric, you've been very successful on the super speedway tracks. What do you feel is the secret to being strong there?
It's a few things, I guess. For me, I kind of just take it as, the race as it comes. I think some guys maybe overthink the super speedway racing a little bit. I just try to be smart with when it's time to race and when it's time to not. If things start getting dicey, I feel like we've always done a good job of just getting out of the situation and making sure we make it to the end of the race. That's been honestly some of the success that we've had is just being there the last few laps. And when it's waiting for the right time, and when it's green, white, checkered, a lot of times is what it comes down to. You kind of throw caution to the wind and go after it and do what you got to do to get to the front. And if you wreck, you wreck. And I guess that's kind of the way I've looked at it. And it's been, fairly successful over the last few times. We've been in contention to win a few of these super speedway races in the last year or so. And, if you keep putting yourself up there and keep being close to getting the wins, one of them's going to go your way eventually. And, I'd love for it to be the 500. Obviously, that's our biggest race. And then the history of the 43 car and at Daytona, and especially in the 500, that would be a dream come true to get that car in victory lane there.
And you mentioned you've been a fan of the sport for a long time, and the history of the 43 is not lost on you. What is your favorite Richard Petty-oriented memory heading into the year?
Well, it's funny for me. I never got the chance to actually see him race. I believe he retired in '92, and so I never had the chance to actually see him race. But looking back on the history of the sport, obviously, I think one of the more iconic moments is him winning his 200th race, the president being there. It's one I always think of. You think of the picture on the backstretch of Daytona of the 43 car and Air Force One taking off or landing, actually. So that's always what I think of when I think of Richard Petty. And then obviously already the history of the sport just in general of himself, 200 wins, 7 championships, him and Dale Inman working together for those is best. It's been cool to hear that history and even talking to Dale a little bit about some of the stories that they had on the road back in the day. I love hearing any of it. It's pretty interesting to me.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Tucker White. Go ahead with your question, Tucker.
Erik, as we've seen in the last few seasons, and especially last season, the driver who performs best over the course of the entire season doesn't necessarily make the championship round or even win the championship. Now, given the, let's say, can't think of a better word, of fluky nature of making it to the championship round and winning it, how exactly is the playoffs a good method of deciding a champion in NASCAR, especially when leagues like IndyCar and Formula One decide theirs to be a season-long format?
Well, I think we've decided on kind of this is how we want to do it over the last few years. And to be honest, I think you still see the best guys in the Final Four majority of the time. There's been a couple times maybe that guys have gotten in the Final Four that maybe didn't have the season that deserved to put them there. But you look at last season, the Final Four that we had at Phoenix, and those guys, all 4 of those guys had, honestly, what you probably could have considered championship season. And coming down to one race definitely makes it a little bit more of a wild card than what it was in the past, you think. Even more so than what the traditional 10-race playoff system was as points over 10 races. But I think if the fans have really enjoyed it, and you can't deny that, I think as a fan of racing and even, me looking at it from the outside, I think it's exciting. You got 4 guys going out that any of them can win the championship in that final race. I think that's pretty cool. It may not be traditional and it may not be the way that we've always done it, but I think there's constant evolution in the sport, whether it be in competition or race cars or point systems. You're always trying to keep up with what's going on in the times, and attention spans are short, right? People don't want to sit down and watch things for a long time or even necessarily a season-long championship anymore if you're not really a diehard race fan. So I think it's definitely a different format, but, looking at it from the outside, I think it's an exciting one.
All right, thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Kyle Foster. Go ahead with the question, Kyle.
Hey, Erik. So this year you guys will be returning to Sonoma Raceway. What are your thoughts on returning back there after a year hiatus and also with no practice, no qualifying, anything like that? What are your thoughts on heading back out west here?
I like Sonoma. The first year I went there, I wasn't the biggest fan. It's a tricky place, and you really have to drive it a lot different than what you do anywhere else. But the last few years, I've really enjoyed going there, and we've had some solid runs. I missed not going out there last year. It's a track that I've come to enjoy quite a bit. The slip going out stuff, especially on road courses, is kind of a unique challenge and something that really tests a little bit of kind of all your race team strategy and driver. So It's fun. I'm excited to get back out there. I love that part of the country in California, Northern California, like that. So it's gonna be cool. It's, like I said, Sonoma's a cool track, and I think it's an opportunity for us to go run really well. You know, it really tests driver a lot out there. You have to really pay attention to how you're managing your run and saving tires and what you want to kind of gain on each side of the run, I guess you could say. So it'll be fun to get back out there.
Could perhaps be a chance to sneak off a few stage points with the way the race always seems to play out.
Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity to run the race kind of backwards, right? You know, there's going to be guys that are going for the win who are going to kind of short every stage and take the tires and stay out and get the track position. But that does leave the door open for us to go up there and try to get some stage points, which I think are going to be pretty important for us. So, you know, you never know how it's going to run out. I hope we're running strong enough that we can short the stage and take the track position and be up front. But, you know, if we want to take stage points, it's definitely going to be there.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Erik, we're also joined here by Wolfgang Munzer from Germany, and Wolfgang did have a question. I know you kind of addressed it earlier, but his question is, you know, coming from Joe Gibbs Racing to Richard Petty Racing, will you bring some of that Joe Gibbs Racing work ethic over to Richard Petty, and how will that apply?
I think you try to. You know, obviously they're a winning organization, and I think RPM is getting back to that form as well. So you try to bring things over that you learn and apply them and move them in there. But you don't also want to disrupt what's been working. And I think RPM's been on a continuous upswing the last couple of years. So you don't want to come in there and, you know, try to change the culture or be the guy that, you know, thinks that they have the answer. I think they've done a really great job the last 2 years of trying to get their stuff better and be where they want to be. So I really believe in their stuff and their equipment, and I think it's really capable. And I think there's certain things that, you know, we can continue to do better and improve and make better. But for me, I've shared what I thought is helpful to this point and some things that I like to do as a driver that make me feel more comfortable going into the weekend. But overall, you know, we'll kind of adjust as the season goes and what we need to work on, what I feel like we need to improve. You know, we'll know a lot more after the first really 3 or 4 weeks in the season. I think we'll be able to start to really work towards what we want to get better as a group.
Good deal. Well, Erik, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and good luck in the Great American Race.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, guys.